Well, it's raining out, and it started raining as soon as I stepped outside the door, but, yeah, it's just how Mother Nature works in Illinois anymore. As you can see, sheet metal's back on the 1850, bar the fenders. We have a new set of fenders that were up in the loft in storage. You may or may not have heard about that. I don't know I can't remember if I told you or not. But we've had a set of fenders that we bought off a guy in Iowa, and they were fairly decent when it came to the structural integrity. I'm gonna climb up there and show you guys what I mean. Actually, see that rust on the 1900 fender? That's what I'm talking about. All of our 4-digit fenders, or the 770 flat top fenders, basically any Oliver flat top fender, rust is a very prominent issue right where the mounts go on it, where that rust is right there. That's a very prominent issue with it. All of them will suffer from it, and you may or may not be lucky. The ones that were on it, the right side one was really bad. The left side one was not good. And the ones that we had that we got from the guy in Iowa were actually in pretty good condition. We basically just took an angle grinder and a wire brush wheel, went over them, got them all nice, and the surface rust was at least taken off, and the paint was kind of left on it. We basically just wanted to get surface rust off. That's basically what we wanted to do. And then we found a can of black enamel spray paint / primer, and then just went over it once just to put a coat of paint on it. Yes, I know the brown's not exactly appealing, and it's definitely not all over colors, but I don't really care. It's going to be in the field this spring, or not this spring, it's already spring. Probably this summer or fall on the plow. I feel like we need to do the hydraulic pump, though, before that happens, just because of the fact that the hydraulic system sucks. I have to run this thing at 1,200 RPM to get this 3-point to lift now. Oh, yeah, and I threw the 3-point back on this tractor. We have the original top link. Everything moves, to my surprise. It all turns. Every ball joint moves. I mean, this is actually a really nice tractor in retrospect. Sheet metal's pretty straight other than the stuff that the tornado screwed up on it. 3-points in good condition. Those U-brackets, as I'm going to call them, they're not at all cracked, which I am so thankful for, because those are usually prone to cracking, and those are cast iron, so those are a bitch to find. Other than that cracking right there at the bolt goes in, as you can see the threads right there, we got to find a new one of those. But it works. I installed a couple of, I think they're category 1 or 2 hitch pins. I think they're 2. And then something on installing these 3-points is this little piece right here can actually slide out. And we found those with the 3-point. And this thing had been off of this tractor for at least 4 years. I think now 5 or 6. And my father couldn't remember how to put them in. I went on the internet, found a picture of a rear 3-point, and finally figured out how they went in. But I basically put on all these lift arms and such. Put a rubber band there. Not a rubber band, bungee cord. I was going to say I couldn't really think of the name. But there's a bungee cord holding these two together, because those are also prone to swinging out, hitting the wheel, getting lifted up by the tread, so on and so forth. You don't want that happening. That's really bad. Previous owners did a little bit of a custom paint job, but I honestly really liked that. That's always been something I liked. That's probably the only tractor that's going to have it on there. Other than that, sheet metal, got all new bolts in it. They're 1/2 inch, I think 5/16 inch thread, coarse thread, with a lock washer and regular flat washer on them. Obviously, we cannot put new bolts there because that's completely missing. The diesel decals kind of get worn down. These are actually painted on. These are not decals. The previous owner opted to have these spears have painted on. And a little fun fact, I'm sure most of the Oliver fanatics that already know this are probably going to roll their eyes and be like, yeah, we already know. But some folks may not know where these came from. Cockshut initially had these, I believe, on the 560 in the late 50s, before they switched to the 4 digits. Oliver copied Cockshut's design because of the acquirement of Cockshut by the White Motor Company. But basically saying they got the idea for the spears from Cockshut, and I think they went to this design in 62 of the B series. I got to brush up on my details a little bit. I'm a little rusty. I think the certified sticker is actually original because it's got all cracking and whatever else, but obviously the inspector name's not there. I think that's decal though. Hydropowered drives there. We did not put bolts right there through the top. We never have because of the fact that you just want to swing open the battery door to get right to it. I personally prefer this design over the rest of them because the newer style designs have this door, but the hinges are non-existent, and there's 4 bolts on all the corners. And then there's a little patch right in the middle that opens up. I think there's 2 bolts to hold that little patch down right in the middle. But I prefer this design because it's 2 bolts swinging open. There's your battery. You can pull them out. And then the battery box. There's 2 batteries on these tractors, and they're hooked in parallel, I believe. I'll have to make sure I'm correct on that, but I'm not very good on my electrical. But there's 2 batteries that should be hooked up in parallel. 12 volts, double the amperage though. Obviously, the battery box has been taken out. That battery's gone just because of the fact that it really starts and runs on 1 good battery right now. Everything you've seen's on 1 battery as it's starting and running, so pretty good. I bet you 2 batteries, it would never stop running. But at that rate, this is primer, by the way. If anybody asks why it's brown and not clover white, it's because it's primer. We didn't have the chance. The guy that we took these to get all these painted, i.e. the wheels, grill, I think that's actually it. But all this got a coat of primer put on, but never got painted clover white because he got rushed and had to do other more important client projects, and we didn't really blame him, so we just took the stuff back and put it up in the loft up there. But that's a ding from, I think, a 2x4 that came and smacked this thing and bent it in. There's a dent right there from where the muffler fell over. The older one's actually in Little Greenie. Excuse me, which is the International 1300 over here. Yeah, there it is over there, but it's completely, the bottom inlet of it's completely bent, 30 to 40 degrees. I mean, the muffler was just laying over sideways like this. So some of the earlier videos, you guys might actually have seen that. I don't know if I have them up anymore or not, because I'm just going to say it, I was a dumbass at the time. And honestly, those are just videos I'd like to keep to myself. But that dent came from that rib right there from the old muffler. Surprised the air cleaner didn't get smashed up in the whole making. But other than that, the sheet metal actually fits together quite well. We had to tap a couple holes. We had to tap these 2, and then these 2 on the hood supports, which is attached to the hood, because it comes down off the hood for you to mount this panel to. On the other side and this side. And then all the cast iron mounts and that front panel actually were in pretty good shape. I don't have a nut to hold that guy down, so it's just loosely in there, but I don't think it'll go anywhere because if there's a good enough bump, there's a lot of threads for that to come out before that will come out. I've tried adjusting the brakes. Apparently there's no more brake left on that side, so what we have is what we got. This side I think can be adjusted, but you know, why not? Might as well replace the brakes here in a little bit. I don't think there's really much else. I adjusted the brakes on this guy because, God, they were awful. The adjustments in the book actually are to go to the 3rd or 4th notch by depressing the pedal with your hand. I think I'm in the 3rd notch. Yeah, there's the 3rd notch. That's easy. And if I was able to put a little pressure on, I could get to the 4th one. But both of them have been set to the 3rd/4th notch. So they stop right there. This one used to just go clear up all the way, and you would pop this middle median bar out pretty easily whenever you're trying to back in or turn to the right. So now that problem's fixed. I did the same to the Super, and apparently I found out on it, I'm going to use this guy as an example, but there's a lock nut there, and then the actual adjustment nut, which for some reason on these is the same size. On the Super, it's like a very little bitty lock nut, and then it's a big adjustment nut on it. But point being, I'm missing the lock nut on the Super. On the right side? Yeah, right side. Left side has it, but the right side does not. So I'm honestly surprised I haven't lost my brakes on the right side yet, but I haven't, and I've owned it for 5 years, so that's quite impressive. I need to go look for one, but yeah. I think this is just going to sit in the shed for now. The fenders are sitting on the pallet, on the forks, on the deer, with paint on the bottom side where it mounts up over there where that rust is. That's been curing for the last day or so. We need new bolts for the fenders because one side was completely chewed out, and the other side was fairly good condition, but we're still not going to use them. I need to run to the store at some point and go get those. There's 12 of them. I believe they're 9/16. I can't remember the thread length and width. Probably 1/2 inch. I can't remember. I think they're coarse thread. Then there's like 2 or 3 inches of space before it hits the thread. For these guys back here to mount the fenders to. But at any rate, I'm just going to quit messing around with the camera and quit babbling. I'm probably going to get this guy out and hook up, hook the blade up to it just to mess around with it, see how good the 3-point is on lifting stuff right now. Get a feel for it, I guess. Actually using it. Because I feel like if that 3-point operates well enough, I'm going to use this guy in the winter. 2-wheel drive is not the ideal thing for winter, but with this guy, there's plenty of weight behind it. I don't think I should have too much of an issue. That 3-point's way more capable than the aftermarket 3-points. It can go on those by a long shot. So, at any rate, that's really what's been going on. Not much else has been happening. I need to go make an update video on the Super, honestly, because I've been kind of slacking on showing you guys what's been going on with that. But everything else in here has pretty much just been sitting around.